There's been about 2 farm attacks every day and 2 farm murders every week in South Africa. These attacks have worsened. For example, in 2007, there was a 25% increase in these attacks, and then the South African government responded saying, we're not going to release any more statistics about this.
And whoever gave him that information was completely wrong. There are no killings of farmers or white farmers in South Africa. There's no land grab in South Africa.
With regards to South African white farmers, I think 2 of them perhaps might have been killed in some instance.
There's been about 2 farm attacks every day.
Donald Trump must leave us alone. So stay out of our issues, and we will not get involved in your issues in America.
Yes, Ed, your point or your question, please?
Mr. President, my question for you would be, why don't you acknowledge the farm murders?
The issue of farm murders is a matter that is of great concern to us. As, of course, the killings of many other people, including the women in our country. Anybody who is killed, who is murdered, is a great concern to all of us. One is deeply, deeply concerned about all the people who are killed in our country. One is deeply, deeply concerned about all the people who are killed in our country.
Is it acceptable? Mr. Minister, could you please give me a nod? Is it or isn't it?
Minister Pegicele lost his cool.
Who are you? Uba, you even said I must use my head either to nod or to refuse. That's arrogance.
What is your strategy as police to deal with these farm murders? We know there's been an increase, in fact, over the years.
Well, I'm not very sure that has been the increase over the years. They've been going down.
AgriSA Director for Rural Safety, Kobus Visser, joins me now live. You'd indicated that in the previous financial year, there were 49 murders in 46 incidents. Are we seeing an increase in farm attacks?
And when looking at a survey done in 2018 by the Institute of Security Studies, they found that farm attacks and farm murders have increased. We also saw in June an increase in farm attacks during that period just after the lockdown.
Several thousand bikers from across the country, various provinces that have come to the seat of government to deliver a very strong message that people are sick and tired of farm murders and racism.
You know, in biking world, black or white doesn't matter. We are one people of God.
There's Indians here, there's coloreds here, there's blacks here. Because we decided we're going to take a stand. We are biker brothers, we stand together, we don't see race.
Well, just hours after a nationwide protest against farm murders on Saturday, there's been a double homicide on a farm in KwaZulu-Natal. Glen and Vida rapidly were gunned down.
I think people underestimate the ripple effect that farm attacks have on the community, not only that live on the farm, but that surrounds the farm.
My opinion is not just random murders. Farmers are killed and nothing taken. How do you explain that? Can you explain that to me, Mr. President? This comes from the top. It's not random murders. People are being sent to kill our farmers. That is wrong. People need to stop it. You need to stop it.
Amen.
We will end up like the rest of Africa. We will end up like Zimbabwe. Time has come now for you to stop this.
So there was a time during the lockdown when there was virtually no farm attacks or farm murders. And then in about June, it started skyrocketing dramatically in the sense that the last few months there have been more farm attacks and farm murders per month than in the same months last year.
Brendin was a farm manager in Paul Roux in the Free State, and last week he was found stabbed and tied to a pole. His father and a colleague found his body tied to a pole in an open space at the farm last week Friday. He had injuries to his head and his face, and he was tied around with a rope around his neck to a pole. So what you essentially have is a young man of 21 stabbed to death and tied to a pole in the middle of the farm.
Well, there were many people here today who came from various parts of the country, Pretoria, Bloemfontein, Cape Town even, and many other parts. And the people on the one hand expressed their solidarity with the family and with the community, and they expressed their concern and their sorrow. But there was also a message of anger and frustration with what is happening in this country. Anger about the reality of farm murders.
Heavily armed farmers shot at the police. Bullshit! Utter bullshit! Ek was daar. A lot of the leader groups were there. There are thousands of witnesses. It is the police. It was never a farmer.
Police fired a warning shot to disperse the crowd.
It's not receiving national focus because President Ramaphosa, when he was asked about this on an international platform, his exact words were, there is no killing of farmers or white farmers in South Africa.
There are no killings of farmers or white farmers in South Africa.
So he blatantly and actively denied the existence of this problem on an international platform in New York, in the USA. The fact is, this is a very unique crime phenomenon, and it's a crime phenomenon that has unique consequences. And then we have, on top of that, we have a police minister saying that this should not be a priority. That is what the police minister said just 2 weeks ago.
Would you say that there's a racial polarization issue? Was it mostly a group of white farmers, or is that not the case?
Because it's not all those farmers who were there who were unruly. There were farmers who dispersed quietly and peacefully.
Just how polarizing is an event like this? Has the community split along racial lines?
But what do you say to the criticism leveled against the Free State police officers tonight, that you treat black protesters with heavy-handedness and you treat white protesters with kid gloves? What do you say specifically to that?
Immediately you throw a race line. That's a problem. Immediately you throw a race line, you politicize the whole situation.
We must recognize that this is the type of thing that we hope won't happen again in future, but it probably will if we have an escalating farm murder crisis combined with a state president who on an international platform denies the existence of the problem, and a police minister who very recently said that the police believes that this should not be treated as a priority. I think these two things are a very dangerous combination.